Hello and welcome back. Today we have Marvel Legends series Doctor Strange, Wong Bats and Doctor Strange figures to open and take a look at. Doctor Strange is one of my favourite Marvel characters, and I've been wanting a comic representation of him for ages, and I now finally managed to add one to the collection. So I'm really looking forward to opening this and taking a look at it, and I thought I'd share my initial thoughts on him. So first up, I believe this is a Amazon exclusive, but I'm not 100% sure on that. I managed to pick him up for $45 from Amazon at the moment. It comes in window box packaging with clamshell inside. We get Wong, Strange, alternate hands with the spells, some extra hands for Wong. We get Bats the dog, and I think there is a stand for him at the back there. We also get an alternate head for Strange in the form of Dormammu. I believe this is based off an actual comic run, which I haven't read, so I'm not quite sure how the Dormammu Strange comes into effect. But that's kind of besides the point. So here we have the front of the box, standard black Marvel Legends packaging. On top we get the Strange logo. On the side we get Alex Ross's art for Dormammu, Strange and Wong with the Strange logo. On the back is some more of the Alex Ross art, which looks absolutely fantastic, but then it's Alex Ross, so I think we can all come to expect that. You get some legal bits down at the bottom. Summary: 2 figures and 10 accessories, or 10 pieces. Warning: small parts. Legal. On the other side, summary of what of the characters included, along with the cross art again. And then on the bottom, barcode and legal. And there we have it. So let's get this opened and start looking at them. So the sides are taped. Now, this obviously comes in the windowed packaging with the figures held in that clamshell. I'm not a big fan of the plastic packaging at all. I know a lot of fans are happy to have it back. Personally, I feel it's a waste of non-recyclable plastic. I'll hold that thought. So inside the packaging we get some sort of mystic art, which is nice. Standard legal leaflet, that can go away. But yes, as I was saying, they come in the clamshell packaging, which I don't like. I feel it's a waste of plastic. I know a lot of collectors are happy to have this back. As I said, I'm not, and I think there are better ways to do this. I think a prime example of this would be to have something similar to what Hasbro have been doing with their Transformer line, in that the figures are in windowed packaging but are actually tied with sort of rope ties to cardboard. And I think Hasbro should be doing the same with their Marvel figures. I see no reason why they can't do that. The accessories could be wrapped up in the little cellophane packages and taped to the back or the underside of the boxes, so they can't be easily removed or tampered with. But yeah, I think there are improvements that need to be made to the packaging, because as it is, this is just going to get thrown out and it's a waste. But that's my bit. So let's get these out of the packaging and we'll take a proper look at them. And here we have the figures out of their packaging. As you can see, we've got Wong, who comes with 2 mystic hands and then 2 extra sets of hands. Strange, who comes with the Dormammu head. The head for Dormammu has the black bit which isn't glued in or anything, it's just sort of placed on with a small clip there. And for packaging is held with just one of those small little cable ties. I'm going to leave that on there for now because I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with this head. They won't be going on my Strange, that's for certain, but I have, as I said, I'm not familiar with the comic this is from, but I have seen pictures of this Dormammu who's wearing a just a business suit, so maybe I might go see if I can get the Black Panther Everett Ross or something and just do a head swap on that. So I've got Dormammu in the collection, but we'll see about that. Strange also comes with a couple of mystic hands. He's got purple ones, which I think are really cool and make a change from the yellowy orange colours we can normally get. These ones feel like a gummier plastic than some of the Marvel Legend some of the MCU ones, which tend to be a little bit harder. But it's not like they're being warped out of position or anything like that. And in some ways, having the little gummier plastic probably means that if they're in storage, they're not going to get damaged or snap as easily. And then we get Bats, the dog. He's done in a translucent green plastic. You get a nice mould for him. You can see there some paint work for the eyes and the nose, and there's some shading or moulding darker colours, which gives it a nice two-tone effect. It's a solid figure, there's no articulation there at all, and not something I necessarily would have expected in what's essentially a accessory. He does come with a stand that just plugs into the base or into his bottom there, and then he's floating around. If you've got him floating around, I would have preferred maybe the paws in a slightly different position or something. As it is, he works. This particular mould works better with him just sort of sat on the floor rather than floating around. But it's your figure, you can depose him however you wish. Moving on, we have Wong, who's in his green uniform. You get nice yellow bands at the wrists here, and despite being painted over the green plastic, they do look nice. If you've seen other videos, namely the Power Ranger Megazord building, I've noted how yellow as a paint tends to be quite difficult to layer, but this is done really nicely. You can see you actually can get moulding of the wrists here into it. It would have been very easy to have just had these plugged into solid yellow, but Hasbro went the extra step and gave us some actual moulded wrists in there, which is nice. Our head sculpt for Wong, it's a nice looking head sculpt. Part of me feels that maybe it's he looks sort of a little bit older than I would necessarily expect Wong to look. Sort of more of a rounded face than what's usually maybe a little bit longer. But it's not a bad sculpt by any means. You can see some wrinkles above the eyes there, which is nicely done. He has the butterfly joints. Actually, should we start with the head? So the neck is a solid piece moulded into the green plastic, but it is on a ball joint. Yeah, nice upwards look at the head, down, full rotation. And then we have those butterfly joints, as I mentioned. Arm comes out and up nicely. Nice stiff joints, full rotation there. Twist at the bicep and double jointed elbows, articulation at the wrists, which will just pop out, and that's a nice little pop there, nothing too hard or solid. It can be changed with one of the other hands as you see fit. He has ball jointed swivel at the torso. You can bend down that far, bend back that far, full turn, and almost like a clicking ratchet joint in there. Can't see enough to actually get an idea of what that's holding it, but it is solid, and I don't feel anything giving away or snapping there. Definitely clicks more like a ratchet joint than plastic snapping. There is no rotation at the waist. Then legs, not quite a full splits. Rotation at the top, double hinged knees, swivel at the foot, at the ankle, and does pivot as well. So we can get some nice range of movement and posability out of him. There we go. It's a nice figure. I do like the moulding on it. I like the shading of green. There's some, it almost looks like there's some darker tones blended into the green, which gives a effect of shadow, which is done really nicely. Poses well, has some nice options, although I think I would have preferred maybe instead of the gripping hands to have had closed fists. I know some reviewers have complained that he doesn't have the flat palm hands, but if you look at Wong in the comics, he tends not to have that sort of flat palmed action as say Shang-Chi or Iron Fist would do. He tends to be posed a little more like that with his hands, so there's some nice accurate there. I just would have preferred to have had closed fist hands here so that you could get a full look, but otherwise he poses really well. I really like him. I like what he can do, and while sorry, while Wong isn't one of my preferred characters, or even one I was necessarily looking to add to the collection, I do like that I've now got him in there. So that's our Wong. And then for me personally, the main reason for this packaging, or for this one, is Doctor Strange himself. Comic book look. His head has the salt and pepper grey. Now he appears to have, I believe the eyes are supposed to be closed, which is pretty cool. Given that he's supposed to be sort of meditating, having closed eyes on the face sculpt is actually a nice touch. Although I'm not a big fan of the pale colour on the skin. I would have preferred a slightly darker skin tone to him, but otherwise it's a nice moulding. There's some nice shadowing under the eyes, the wrinkles there. You got his moustache. There's some nice moulding on the costume. The cape is glued to the front. I'm not sure how well you could remove that without damaging the figure, but there's no plug at the back to plug this into either, so it seems like it's a wasted opportunity to have glued it when it could have made a nice removable piece, but it is what it is. Strange is on a ball joint and swivel, so you can get some real movement there of the head. No butterfly joint, just the swivel and twist at the elbow. So he's not going to get the full range that Wong did, but then Strange is more of a mystic, so you wouldn't necessarily need those sort of kung fu-y type poses. And I apologise there, I just couldn't think of a better way to describe it. So arm comes in and out, get nice tight joints there. Interesting that instead of having a double joint at the elbow, you've actually just got a swivel and a twist, so he still gets some really decent movement there, but the double hinge doesn't mess up the sculpt, which is nice. No twist at the wrist, at the forearm, but you do get the twist at the wrist with the hinged hands. You can see here we get sort of the mystical posed hands. You get the ab crunch, which goes forward and backwards, and you do get a rotation at the waist. That feels a little looser than I would like, but it's not detrimental necessarily. You get, because of the cut of the uniform, which does have a molded cut there to allow spreading, but nothing here. You don't get a full split, but you get a nice range of movements nonetheless. Swivel at the calves, double jointed knees, swivel at the boot, with hinged and pivoting feet. So again, you're going to get a nice range of movement out of him and get some nice pose abilities. One thing I do want to see is I've seen pictures of this where he is essentially meditating. I want to see if we can get a pose like that. Let's see. Oh, look at that, you can get some nice posing there. There you go. You can get some nice posing with him sort of meditating, cape flowing behind. I like the sculpt of the cape. It doesn't hinder the movement in any way. It gives an effect of it being caught in the wind and floating. Again, the only issue I have is I would have preferred being able to actually remove this as a separate piece. But again, it's not hindering things, so it's not necessarily too much of a detriment. I do like being able to pose them like that. Just the downside is the cape sort of gets in the way a bit if you're having him sit on the floor, so you'd need a stand for that. There we have Strange. He only comes with the Mystic Effect hands, rather than a wide range. Perhaps just some gripping hands would have been nice for him, just to give the, if you don't want him posed in that mystical way. I would have liked an alternate head sculpt where his eyes are open, but it is what it is. Again, head is on the ball joint, so it just pops off, and then you can just pop on the Dormammu head if you want. There we have what it would look like with the Dormammu head. As I said, I'm not going to pose him that way. This is a full-on Strange for me. There it is, nice solid pop, so we can get him posed as the Doctor of the Mystic Arts. Perhaps give him, if we can get him to stand, but I think we will give him the Mystic hand. Now, he's obviously got the yellow hands for his gloves, but if you did want and didn't mind or couldn't see it, you can have Wong's hands without any issue there. There we go. With this being so much gummier, trying to get this in and out is a little harder than some of the others. But there we have the three, well, 2.5, shall we say, figures from this Marvel Legends set. What do I think? I'm really liking this set. I really like all three figures. As I said, I would have, if you're having them floating, I would have perhaps maybe preferred a slightly different pose, but as a additional figure slash accessory, it's not a bad item, and I like the translucent effect. I know in the comics he moves between sort of a green and a blue, but I do like the green here. Wong I like. I definitely like the figure a lot more than I thought I was going to. He's got some really nice joints and movement here. You can get some really good posability out of him. My only criticism on him really is the head looks a little older than I would have necessarily liked, and I definitely would have preferred fists over gripping hands, but that is what it is. It's not going to detriment the figure in any real way. And then finally Strange, which I absolutely love. I love the comic book look of him. I love the posability on him, the wide range of movement. And the only criticism I have for this one is the fact that you just can't remove that cape. I only say that because I think that would have helped maybe with some of the posability or movements for the figure. I definitely think I'm going to try and find something that I can use for Dormammu. Dormammu's not particularly a big character for me, but I really do love this head sculpt. I love the translucent orange, which has got multiple tones running through it to give the real flame effect. I like the Dormammu mask, which is molded with those sort of striped effects, and that bit can remove, so you can have a slightly different look, and they've all fallen. But there we have them. That's my thoughts on this set. As I said, I really do like it. I'm really glad to have these into the collection, and I think anyone who's looking for a comic style Doctor Strange would be happy with this version, especially since you're getting an additional character with it. Thank you for watching, and I will be back soon.